Welcome everyone. This is part of a series on miracle making, based on my book, Making Miracles Create New Realities for Your Life and Our World. The book is designed to, in really easy, gentle ways, cultivate the consciousness that gives rise to miracles. And each session here covers a little bit of the book and includes an exercise or a group experiment in miracle making. Now today I want to talk a little bit about the science of miracles. The relatively new science of consciousness is now explaining the mechanics of the miraculous in ways that even the most skeptical thinkers are beginning to embrace. Melvin Morse, MD, the best-selling author of Closer to the Light and other books on near-death experiences, and also a well-known researcher of near-death experiences, he goes so far as to suggest that the current debate between skeptics and believers has become obsolete simply because it's based on old science. So we no longer have to believe, we just need to be paying attention to know that consciousness is powerful, it's joined beyond time and space, and is capable of far more than we know. The findings of quantum physics for more than a century now have introduced all kinds of mind-boggling paradoxes that really are completely changing our previous understanding of matter and time, space and consciousness, and proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that the physical world simply can't be neatly observed, measured, and predicted as we once thought. Physics is proving what spiritual traditions have taught for years, that a reality exists beyond what we can see and know through the limited perceptions of our physical senses. To explain really briefly, for more than a couple of centuries now, the Newtonian model of reality has prevailed. And this view holds that the universe, be it at the macrocosmic level of planets or the microcosmic level of atoms, is all mechanical. In the Newtonian view, the universe is made up of separate components that move and interact in predictable ways that can be observed, precisely measured, and expected to behave the same at every observation. But during the last century, scientists have shown that the seemingly solid, predictable nature of matter is way more complex and miraculous than we had ever imagined. We now know that at the subatomic level, matter doesn't behave consistently. Instead, it shows statistical tendencies to behave in certain patterns and has the potential to change spontaneously in ways that have no clearly apparent physical cause. What's more, at this quantum level, matter can exhibit the qualities of solid, separate particles and the qualities of unified light waves. The way matter shows up really has to do with the way it's observed. In other words, when the scientist observer is looking for particles, particles are found and have characteristics exclusive to particles. But when the observer is looking for waves, waves are found and have characteristics exclusive to waves. As Fred Alan Wolf writes about this phenomenon in his well-known book, Taking the Quantum Leap, and I'm quoting him here, "How matter appears depends on our mind's choices. Reality is a matter of choice," end quote. Another of the many mind-boggling findings of quantum physics shows that at the quantum level, motion doesn't happen in the linear, flowing, point A to point B way that we'd assumed. Instead, subatomic particles have been observed to leap from one place to another all at once, without passing through the space in between. And this is something pretty impossible to explain using the old Newtonian model of reality. We can no longer even trust time and space to be the known quantities we perceive with our physical senses. In the words of well-known physicist Stephen Hawking, I'm quoting him here, Einstein's theory of relativity combined time with space and said that both could be warped or distorted by the matter and energy in the universe. No longer could we think of space and time as running on forever, unaffected by what happened in the universe. Instead, they were now dynamic quantities that influenced and were influenced by events that took place in them, end quote. Now, along these lines, Helmut Schmidt of the Mind Science Foundation in San Antonio, Texas, conducted extensive research on the power of consciousness to affect matter. And he used random events generators for this that produced random patterns such as those produced by radioactive decay. And his studies, which have been successfully replicated by other researchers, showed undeniable evidence that mental intention alone could influence these random patterns, proving that thought alone can indeed influence matter. But that is not all. His experiments, and this is really even more interesting, his experiments showed that subjects could not only mentally influence random patterns occurring in the present, they could also affect random results that had been collected in the past. More recent research on time, and some of which I address in other chapters of the book, is suggesting even more fantastic possibilities for all the ways we can change the past with conscious intention. It's just becoming increasingly clear that the universe isn't simply an assembly of separate particles and planets and entities in set, predictable relationships to one another. Instead, we're finding that all the pieces that make up our physical world are dynamic, and they're interrelated, and they're able to affect and be affected by one another. It's impossible even to separate ourselves from the whole sufficiently enough to observe it without our very observations having an impact. Now, these new truths, by their very nature, it must radically reshape how we perceive ourselves and our relationships to one another, and how we live day to day and relate to the world around us. Taken out of the realm of science and applied to daily life, these new laws of physics suggest a reality in which we have way more power to influence our environment than we've previously known. Our very thoughts have the power to affect the physical world. And movement at the physical level can happen instantaneously through a leap in time and space, rather than a linear mechanical process. Really, the only limitations are the ones we impose on ourselves with our fixed beliefs and our assumptions about life. So that brings us to our exercise for this week. This is about letting go of what you think you know. So to prepare for this, just take a couple of deep breaths and let your body relax. You don't even need to close your eyes for this. But just breathe. Let your mind just become soft and open. Just breathe yourself very present. And imagine that all you thought for certain is not true. Now, don't assume this means the opposite is true, or that what you most fear is true. You don't need to figure out what is true. And you don't need to understand the how and the why of this. Simply play with this as an exercise in imagination. And breathe. And as you release your current interpretations, don't immediately grasp for new ones. Just breathe. Let your mind open. And let your mind be confused. This process is a lot like letting your eyes go out of focus so that you're seeing the color, the form, the big picture of the world around you rather than the details. Just breathe, soften, open, release. And imagine that even in the midst of confusion and of not knowing, that you're safe and very at peace. And now look down at the ground beneath your feet and say to yourself, nothing I think I know for certain about the ground beneath my feet is true. Then look up and say to yourself, nothing I think I know for certain about the room around me is true. Imagine yourself outside and say to yourself, nothing I think I know for certain about the sky above my head is true. Look around at the objects and the things in your space and do the same thing. Say to yourself, nothing I think I know about this is true. So nothing I think I know about my cell phone is true. Do this with everything, just randomly. As your eyes focus on something, just say to yourself, nothing I think I know for certain about this object is true. And now do the same with people. People you see, people you know, people who pop into mind. Nothing I think I know for certain about this person is true. Do this with your relationships. Nothing I think I know for certain about my relationship with is true. Do this with all of your circumstances. Nothing I think I know for certain about this area of my life is true. And do it with all your theories. Nothing I know about the meaning of life is true. Nothing I think I know for certain about God is true. And most importantly, do this with yourself. Nothing I think I know for certain about myself is true. And just play with this exercise for a day or two, applying it to everything. Notice what comes up as you do it and just relax. Don't immediately grasp for understanding of what this means. Let this just be a relaxing and opening into being present and at peace with confusion, because it's in the confusion that we allow something new to emerge. Now, that's the end of our exercise for today. If you want to read the whole book, it's available through Amazon. It's available, of course, through my publisher, Namaste Publishing. I always suggest if you have a favorite bookstore, look for it there or order it there. It's always nice to keep a bookstore in business. They're having hard times these days. This book study is going to continue for a few more weeks, and new people can join anytime. Now, I offer a number of other programs online as well that you can attend on your computer or on your phone, or by getting the recording delivered into your email. The next major program I have coming up is the beginning of my year-long Miracles course that accepts new students quarterly at the beginning of each season. And the summer session that starts June 1st is all about receiving the abundance of life and addresses issues such as manifesting dreams, working with spiritual principles of manifestation effectively, opening to receive, because we can't, it doesn't do us any good to manifest effectively if we're not open to receiving it. We touch upon releasing scarcity, how to allow life to be easy instead of a struggle, and a lot more. And this program involves live classes with me and one-on-one assistance from 3 different faculty members and in-depth written material. The course, it really provides this gentle and persistent nudge in the direction of your highest good. It makes the process easy. And it also leads to ordination for those who want that credentialing. Now, the first live class of this summer quarter is on Wednesday, June 3rd, and I always open that as a free audit for anyone who'd like to attend. And it's a complete lesson in and of itself. So anyone who would like to register for that, love to have you. Just go to my website, lynnwoodland.com. And until next week, namaste. Have a great week, everyone.